Ladies and gentlemen, Violent Games here. Today I just wanted to kind of rant about Bonecharms and chipsets within the Arkane Studios games and tell you why they're fucking nonsensical, why I hate the mechanic behind them and how they spawn into the world, and I hate the acquisition, and even I want to talk shit to the developers about how could you make this system worse? From Dishonored 2 to Prey. How do you make the system worse from your game that was previously installed? So, let's just jump straight into the topic, talking about Bonecharms in Dishonored 2. Bonecharms in Dishonored 2, if you didn't know, when you first acquire them, they kind of appear randomly. When you go into the map for the first time, they appear randomly. Now, you can reload the map and have different Bonecharms spawn, but that's how you acquire them. Now, the problem I have with them being random is that you can get really overpowered Bonecharms from the very start of the game. For example, if you're starting a new playthrough and you get liquid sustenance, you basically have unlimited mana throughout the entire game, whereas if you get something else like, I don't know, Devouring Swarm, you're kind of fucked. Like, the difference between effectiveness of Bonecharms is just staggering, to where some Bonecharms in this game are just completely useless compared to others. Now, another thing that kind of drives me crazy about this randomness is that you can't really acquire Bonecharms in a way that adheres to your playstyle. You could be at the mercy of that Bonecharm system the entire game, and in some instances, you won't ever find Bonecharms that are worth a shit to your playstyle until you're like halfway through the game, or 2/3 of the way through the game, and that is unacceptable. I think the Bonecharm system in general just needs to be reworked. Furthermore, why the fuck don't corrupt Bonecharms and black Bonecharms carry over with you upon New Game Plus? New Game Plus kind of has this theme, and I love New Game Plus, don't get me wrong, has this theme of, we're going to give you all the tools in the box that you had previously from your previous playthroughs. Why don't they carry over? You're literally just forcing the player to farm for Bonecharms endlessly till they get what they want, and the reason I'm actually making this video, if you didn't, catch on, is that I'm trying to do a build for my community right now, and I can't do that because I've spent 2 hours today trying to farm a single fucking corrupt Bonecharm, and it's obscene. So, I'm just, like, literally livid right now. I'm so mad. Like, and let's try to stay on topic. Let's try to stay on topic, and I'm going to offer Arkane a solution to this problem. Now, furthermore, I feel like the perk acquisition for Bonecharm crafting is ultimately pointless for a lot of its ranks. Like, for example, the ranks that you get increase the chance that you won't get a corrupted effect when you're crafting Bonecharms as well. You know you can just save around that, right, Arkane? You know you can just save the fucking game until you get what you want, and it's not hard. So, literally, those perk points are desultory for your first playthrough, and you shouldn't actually get them. Now, in New Game Plus, you can pick them up as a convenience, but you've made this fucking pointless perk tree, where you could have implemented something way more interesting. Now, for Dishonored specifically, I want to give them a solution to this problem. This is how you should do Bonecharms in the future. Have a tier of Bonecharms, ranging from moderately useful to more useful. And the way that Bonecharms should be acquired is that you actually invest in that, crafting tree, and then you find things throughout the world to kind of craft the Bonecharms themselves, like whalebone, runes, things like that. Maybe even have more runes exist in the game so players can kind of pick, gee, do I want to upgrade more into my powers, or do I want to focus more into Bonecharms so I can get more access to a multitude of Bonecharms? Kind of give your player base the aptitude to craft those Bonecharms, whether you want them to find skill books or books that teach them different Bonecharms to craft. Have a different system put in place so that players can customize their Bonecharms to their playstyle freely, or at least have your perk charts have a sense of progression. So maybe Bonecharm perks range from tier 1 to tier 2, or maybe have branching paths for certain lethal Bonecharms to certain stealth Bonecharms, and that is, for the sake of variety, a lot more interesting. Maybe you have a tree for movement. Maybe you have a tree for, you know, combat. You know, have more nuance in there, as opposed to having players randomly find the shit, because it completely tips the balance of the game and can either frustrate you or make you feel like a god. And I don't like that in Dishonored. I don't like that randomness. I wish there was some amount of control and some amount of progression. And again, for New Game Plus, just give us all the shit. There's no reason to have us farm for Bonecharms to try to get the playstyle that we want. There you go. That's what you should do from now on. Now let's move on to another ramble. And let's talk about Prey chipsets, because Prey chipsets are far worse than Bonecharms. And the reason that this is it has the same randomized mechanic behind it. You find either a suit chipset or a headpiece chipset. I can't remember what they're called. I think it's Psychoscope chipsets. You either get one of those two at designated locations. However, the effects of each are random. So why is this fucking obnoxious, or more obnoxious than Dishonored 2? Because you can get the same one twice. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't code the game to, like, negate your ability to pick up the same Bonecharm, or, goddammit, the same chipset twice in Prey. This is absurdly stupid, and furthermore, you can't get chipsets. Again, you can't acquire them in ways that are specific to your build. You're at the game's randomized whimsy, and I hate it. I hate it so much. It makes it so fucking tedious to have to reload an area over and over and over again just to get the chipset that I want, so that I don't get fucked over, or like later on in the game, so that I'm doing my maximum damage. Like, for example, if I want to use the shotgun in Prey and I want to get the most DPS out of the shotgun, I need the shotgun critical chipset. What if I don't get that till like the end of the game? That fucking sucks for me, right? And guess what? I have no way to control what chipsets I get. It's completely stupid. They should implement a way to acquire these chipsets in a way that's effective to our builds and our playstyles. And when you limit your player's ability to do that, your characters feel less, you know, nuanced and customized. And it's just not helping your game. Like, who is this? Man, I really love it when I get the fucking wrench critical when I wanted the pistol critical. Who says that in these forums? Nobody. Arkane, play your damn games and think about how this system fucking works. And why have they not patched that out of the game where you can get the same chipset twice? I have no idea. I have no idea, because it's stupid. And you can't stack them. It'd be different if you could stack them, because then it'd be like overpowered as fuck, right? And that might be entertaining to some people, but you can't even stack them. So not only that, you get a second chipset that you can't use, and it's just fucking sitting there in your inventory laughing at you. It's like, well, should have rolled the dice better, buddy. And it can literally invalidate the perk tree within Prey that allows you to equip more chipsets. What if you're like, man, I really want to equip more chipsets in the future, and all of a sudden you get the same fucking one twice, and you can't even fill the slot. Oh my god, guys. Oh, man, this is rage right here. I apologize. Again, I'm just trying to make a build for you guys. And I just spent another 2 hours of my fucking life trying to get the Power / Bonecharm for the goddamn Sith Jedi build. I'm gonna cry. This is fucking ridiculous. Like, I have to go to work, man. I have to go to work. And Arkane gives me the middle finger because I play on console. If I had PC, I could just use commands and put them in, right? But I have to play console, and they have this random gimmick fucking mechanic that doesn't make your game more interesting. It makes it more frustrating. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about the Bonecharm system and the chipset system within the Arkane Studios games, and if you think they're bullshit, or if you like my idea of having a progression-based Bonecharm and chipset crafting or whatever. This is Violent Games signing off.